Here's a wild theory. Humans may not have invented farming to get bread. We may have invented farming to get beer. And bread came along for the ride. Long before anyone planted a single seed on purpose, hunter-gatherers in what's now Israel were already brewing something beer-like. At a site called Rockafet Cave, archaeologists found 13,000-year-old residue of a fermented grain gruel, used not for meals, but for funerals. These people were still hunting and foraging. Farming, as we know it, hadn't been invented yet. Which raises a strange question. What if the desire for beer came first, and farming was invented just to make more of it? At a place called Göbekli Tepe in modern-day Turkey, hunter-gatherers built massive stone monuments thousands of years before anyone thought to build a permanent house. And the evidence suggests they gathered here for enormous feasts, almost certainly fueled by beer. Some archaeologists think these beer-fueled gatherings are exactly what pushed people to start farming grain seriously, not to survive, but to keep the party going. Beer, in other words, may be one of the reasons humans stopped wandering and started building civilizations at all. About 6,000 years ago, in a land we now call Iraq, someone probably left wet barley bread sitting out too long. It began to bubble. It turned sour. Someone was brave enough to taste it anyway. They had no idea they were about to help build the foundation of human civilization. The Sumerians loved beer so much, they gave it its own goddess, Ninkasi. People wrote her a song, and hidden inside that song was the world's oldest known beer recipe, written almost 4,000 years ago. Making beer was also one of the few jobs open to women at the time. Priestesses of Ninkasi ran the taverns. And beer wasn't just for fun, it was money. Workers building some of the world's first cities were paid in beer, partly because it was safer to drink than the water. Beer even shows up in the oldest story ever written, the Epic of Gilgamesh. In it, a wild man named Enkidu lives like an animal until someone gives him bread and beer for the first time. He drinks cup after cup, and the story says his heart grew light, his face lit up, and he started to sing. To the people who wrote this story, that moment meant something big. Beer is what turned a wild creature into a real human being. In Egypt, beer starred in an even wilder story. The gods were afraid of a fierce lion goddess named Sekhmet, who wanted to destroy humanity. So they flooded a field with beer, dyed blood red. She drank it, thinking it was blood. She got completely drunk and fell asleep before she could hurt anyone. It might be the earliest story of beer literally saving the world. Hundreds of years later, beer found a new home: monasteries. By around 1,400 years ago, monks across Europe were brewing beer, both to drink and to sell. During Lent, when monks were only allowed to fast, strong beer became a lifesaver. They called it liquid bread. Since it wasn't technically food, it was allowed. In 1516, a region in Germany called Bavaria passed a law. Beer could only be made from water, barley, and hops. Nothing else. It's one of the oldest food laws still talked about today. Machines eventually took over brewing, turning it into a giant industry. But years later, small brewers brought back the spirit of experimenting, the same spirit people had 10,000 years ago. From a cave full of mourners, to a party that maybe built civilization, to the pint glass on your table tonight, beer might be one of the biggest reasons human history turned out the way it did.